Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. Welcome to the International Free Webinar. Thank you for joining us for another relevant topic tonight. I am your host. My name is Rohamina P. Gapor, currently a teacher and a journal manager at St. Teresa International College, Thailand. Before we formally begin the program, let me give you a little bit of background about the Institute of Global Professionals. Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institution that provides social work with globally recognized. IGP is also a leading online skills development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. We have organized this webinar, training, offline, and online courses from best and trained speakers, trainers from all over the world to create the best learning platform for all of you. As IGP's mantra, feed your skills, we believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So we provide essential training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. Our mission is to empower people and improve their skills. We have completed 129 webinar entitled Transition to New Normal from Classroom to Class Home. And I know you'll learn a lot. You've learned a lot from that relevant topic. Tonight, we are pleased to bring 130 webinar on the topic Modern ELT Classroom with only one speaker from Samarkand, Uzbekistan, Sir Feruz Akbarov. Due to some emergencies, Ma'am Gada Mahmoud Kista cannot be able to attend the tonight's webinar. So please, our lovely participants, don't forget to share this webinar in your community. Please mention your name, your friend's name in the comment box or in the comment sections down below. So now, without further ado, I would like to welcome our brilliant speaker for tonight. Our speaker is an international ESL, EFL instructor and public speaker. The topic that he will be going to discuss is the traits of modern ESL, EFL teacher in modern ELT classroom. So please, our dear participants, let us welcome our speaker for tonight's webinar, Sir Feruz Akbarov from Uzbekistan. Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to you all watching us across different time zones in different countries. I'm Firuz Akbarov, and I used to be one of those active participants of IGP webinar in the past. And today it feels really exciting to be a presenter on the same platform. By the way, it's going to be Uzbekistan's maiden appearance, the first ever appearance on IGP. And as usual, I have the great honor of being the first speaker from my country.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So without further ado, I'd like to invite you to watch a sneak preview of my teaching endeavors in about 3 to 4 minute video, which will give you a big mental picture of my today's presentation. So if you're ready, then enjoy watching the video. Have fun and see you around.
Okay, sir.
So now I'm going to share the presentation.
they asked me, what makes you want to go to math? Used to be I think I could still do something that I never did in my life. Hello guys, and today I'm offering local students in summer camp to experience that fantastic, innovative masterclass free. Hey guys, I've been learning English for many years, but I never felt any progress in my English. Ever since I started attending Mr. Fibruz's classes, I felt more confident about my speaking and listening.
Hello everybody, I'm Laura. I'm a student at school. I'm an eighth grader, but my English is much better than my classmates because I have been attending an English speaking class by Mr. Firuz.
One more time, I'm going to repeat the question. So, what is the best way to travel? Yeah, that's perfect.
Biz ATM'in işlev saatleri haqida savol so'rasak, unda how long does ATM work yoki how often does ATM work deb so'rashimiz mumkin. Asar ingliz tilida nima bo'ladi? Work of art yoki book, ya'ni kitob so'zlarini ham asar ma'nosida ingliz tilida ishlatishimiz mumkin. Ingliz tilida price bu narx degani. Biz price'ga cost yoki fee so'zlarini sinonim tarzida ishlatishimiz.
Hello everyone, I'm Christopher, and I want in this Sando city of Uzbekistan, Turkey city, to provide some insights into the youth of Uzbekistan.
I have mentioned several pieces of information for modern teachers and youth creativity.
The real aim of success is for every of us, but not everyone can be successful. Make hard and
And this guy was the distraction all the time. So I have to keep the focus on some Americans and Ireland.
Hey guys, it's Elbek here. On the 8th of May at Westminster Academy, an outstanding masterclass was delivered by one of the most experienced English tutors in Uzbekistan with the level of C2, Firuz Akbarov. And as a participant, I can say that the experiences and advice he shared during his presentation were super useful and effective for the students, especially for those who are just striving for success.
Hello everyone, my name is Shakir and I participated in Firuz Akbarov's presentation on the topic of 7 keys of success for everyone. It was very beneficial for me with the useful guidelines, and now I know how to live my future life and be successful like him. Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure to let you know that the event was a huge success. We had lots of participants and they learned a lot. They had a major key takeaways from the seminar. And we hope to organize such kind of events in the future with Westminster Academy in Samarkand. So tune in and
see you in the future events. Am I audible? Kaushik, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So how did you like the video, everybody? I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Did you? So here is the topic of my today's presentation: traits of a modern ESL EFL teacher. So I will have a very unusual approach to the interpretation of this topic through something called a coin. Right, everybody knows a coin, yes? So undoubtedly it's one of the greatest inventions in the history of mankind because it has money value. It can be used as a decider in sports games. And above all, it can help us to explain rather complex concepts in a pretty simple way, which is what I'm going to do today. Throughout the presentation, I'm going to not just focus on the traits of a modern ESL EFL teacher, but simultaneously, I'm also going to point at those qualities that you should be avoiding at all cost. So keep in mind throughout the webinar, the simple principle: the coin has two sides. Thank you. Now let's proceed, shall we? All right, here's a disclaimer I want to state. In this presentation, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I mean the educational wheel, because it has been invented and reinvented multiple times by top language experts in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a fresh insight into the international ELT community based on my humble teaching experiences, both at home and abroad. So I hope that makes it clear. And that being said, let me show you the outline of my today's presentation. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to interact with you, with the audience in the comment section. Soon I'll be asking you some interesting questions, and I'll be interested in checking out your interesting responses. And then I'll be talking about 7 traits of a modern ESL EFL teacher based on my practical experience. And then I prepared a quiz within the presentation. There is another iTask. And at the end of the webinar, you will get a chance to ask me your questions. So that's a good news. I hope you are through with the outline. And now let's go on to the first iTask. Okay, in the comment section, I want you to answer the following question. What skill do you need the most as a teacher? So please bear in mind, this is a very general question. It's not specifically related to language teachers. So this is a very general question as a teacher in general. So please type in your answers in the comment section. And now let me check out your answers. The answers keep coming a little late on my other gadget. So yeah, now I can see the first response by Richie, compassionate. Rose Zapanta says flexibility. Okay. Pa Gaduan says communication skills, wonderful. Communication skills and speaking and listening skills, interactive, excellent, good oral communication, communication skills. Lizelle says flexible, very interesting. And Lika says creativity, perfect. And another top fan, Tess, says passionate. So another participant brings up a host of ideas like creativity, knowledge of the subject matter itself, oral communication skills, flexible, resourceful, perfect, innovative. I like this word, innovative. Good communication for our students, not just as a teacher, but as a friend too. Perfect. I'll be talking about that idea. Speaking and listening skills, listening, speaking, innovative communication skills. And the answers keep coming in. Thank you very much. Motivational skill, wonderful. I'll be talking about all those skills throughout the presentation, hopefully. Thank you very much for being super active. I hope you can continue being active throughout the presentation. So it looks like even the A-list celebrities have been awaiting the start of these webinars. So let's get the ball rolling. Here is my humble TESOL cabinet with some notable TESOL and TEFL certificates, which a modern ESL EFL teacher should have. And as of January 2021, this year, I passed an international ESOL Mastery C2 level test, which is the highest level a language teacher can dream of. So this is something I am proud of. Okay, so finally, hold your breath, and now let's get down to business. I'll be talking about 7 traits of a modern ESL EFL teacher. Okay, so number 1 is initiator, not an instructor. So what do I mean by that? I want to take you on a tour back in old days when the teaching was primarily based on giving instructions or even commands and orders, because the students were quite submissive and obedient and without much free will. So even nowadays, sadly, in most of the public schools, the teachers are still playing the role of an instructor. So rarely do they set an example or show an example or try to be a trailblazer or even a pioneer. So there's a clear and subtle distinction between telling what to do and how to do and showing what to do and how to do. So that's how we get the two different words: initiator versus instructor. Initiator is someone who sets an example, who initiates, who does things first and shows to other people. So this is a fundamental quality of a modern ESL, EFL teacher. So in the next slide, I want to show you a 10-second video, and you might have already recognized this girl. She is Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and she made a very powerful speech at the United Nations headquarters. And I want you to listen to only a 10-second speech from that video. Take a look.
One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world.
Indeed, it doesn't take a lot of things to change the world. And I'm not going into the deep interpretation of her famous quote, but what I really want to draw your attention to is the fact that this young girl is a very good example of being an initiator, because she was an initiator of education for young girls, for which she deservingly was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. So a modern ESL teacher has to be a very good initiator. And another aspect or a side of being an initiator is having a great passion for contribution, contributing to the greater good of the society or the public. I was watching a motivational video on YouTube, and there was a very interesting quote by Denzel Washington saying, "Do not just aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference." As you all know, as we all know, that in our world, in our society, the language teachers are usually either underpaid or not well paid. And that's why their primary concern is to make the ends meet or just to make a living. Rarely do they aspire to make a difference in their students' studies or even lives. So being a modern ESL teacher is just coming out of your comfort zone and trying to make a difference in the lives of your students. And for that, you need to be an initiator. And here is a very good example of me being an initiator. Last year, I was approached by a Mexican teacher called Barbara. And Barbara wanted to initiate a cross-cultural project with me. The project was about raising awareness, cultural awareness of Uzbekistan among Mexican students. At that time, I was running a very tight schedule. But despite that, I happily agreed to be part of this project, which we initiated through a platform called Fleetgrade, which is now used as a very active teaching platform in the world, in the ELT world. And look, there was no monetary incentive for me from this project. I had to spend my time. I had to, let's say, record lots of videos, respond to all those students' videos with the video response. But at the end of the day, I derived a lion's share of pleasure just because I contributed to the awareness of Mexican students about Uzbekistan. And I also wanted the other people to emulate, to replicate, to imitate my initiatives. And this is how we can change the world, or at least make things a lot better. We can make the world a better place by contributing to the greater benefit of the society, by being an initiator. And being an initiator also meant to me to closely collaborate with lots of like-minded English teachers from all around the world, including US, Mexico, Canada, South Korea, UK, Puerto Rico, Spain, and Israel. Let me show you like an overview of myself being an initiator. Like I said, I closely collaborated with lots of teachers from all around the world, and I also was a part of the joint projects with international students and teachers from Mexico and Israel. I initiated free Sunday English clubs in Uzbekistan and China. Look, I was not the first person to conduct these kind of activities. What I did was I just initiated in certain places where they never had these kind of, let's say, events. And then, these initiatives really mushroomed. They became so commonplace, for which I was really ecstatic, because that was my ultimate goal. I wanted people to emulate, to imitate my initiatives, so that we could all together collectively make the world a better place, or just make some positive changes into the lives of the society that we're living in. And then I continued with delivering free coaching sessions in countries like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. I shared my know-how with the locals. And, I always love being an initiator. I always love being a pioneer, doing things for the first time. Even on this IGP, at the very start of the presentation, I referred to the fact that I am the first ever speaker from Uzbekistan on IGP. So this is also a kind of being an initiator. Free partnership with media. So as an English teacher, if you remember, I played a promo video at the start of the presentation, and there was a special fragment, me at the national TV channel of Uzbekistan. So I initiated English teaching program on TV. So that was something of a first kind at that time. And then I conducted some free English ECAs in Uzbekistan and China, which became really popular among the students as well as the other teachers. So they started really emulating my initiatives. So this is an overview of me in the role of an initiator, trying to make a difference in the lives of those people that I closely engaged with. And, I didn't get any monetary incentive at the end of the day for any of those initiatives, but I derived a lion's share of pleasure just being, a volunteer, having a volunteering spirit. So being an initiator, doing things for the first time, and doing for the greater benefit of the people is actually the greatest deed any human being can think of. So let's keep going. Here is an example of me being an initiator. During my holidays, apart from teaching in China, I used to tour around different cities of China. In this particular picture, I was in the eastern part of China called Suzhou. I was invited there to promote a cultural understanding about Uzbekistan to the Chinese people. You can see people of different age. We have as young as a kid, and then as old as an elderly man. So it's quite diverse. So people were enthusiastic about learning about my country. So I happily traveled to a different city of China just to provide a free cultural talk about my country. And this is my favorite part about being an initiator as a modern ESL teacher, is that whenever I was approached by top organizations or institutions to deliver a free talk or just to be a free speaker on their platform, I willingly and happily accepted that offer. Last year, I was the first ever speaker on a platform called SR Teaching and Learning on the topic of what makes an ordinary teacher extraordinary. I shared 10 main practical principles. And then I was invited to Rotaract Club in partnership with Global Connect India on the topic of exhibiting leadership skills while negotiating to success. I was the first ever speaker on all those webinars from my country. So this is what makes me happy, that I'm not just telling you the quality of an ESL teacher, but I'm just showing it through my experience that a modern ESL teacher has to be a big time initiator. And then I was invited to IGP, one of my favorite platforms. And that's why I'm here today, sharing my know-how and experience with the global audience. And I went as far as the southernmost part of my own country, to the remote corners of my country, to share my know-how and knowledge and experience. I'm not just passionate about contributing internationally, but also domestically, locally. So here is a sideline note. If there are some top platforms, organizations, institutions willing to collaborate with me or just offer me any kind of project that I could be part of, so please feel free to contact me. I'll be sharing my contacts at the end of the webinar. So I'm always open for the contribution. I'm always open to be part of the webinars, the seminars, the projects, because I'm an initiator. Okay, with that, we've come to the second trait of a modern ESL teacher, which is one of my favorites actually, because by nature, I am a creator. I love being a creator. I love creating things. As a teacher, this is actually one of the reasons why I became a teacher, because a great teacher, in my understanding, in my perspective, is a great creator. So creator, not a copycat. Remember at the start, I referred to the principle of a coin, saying that the coin has two sides. And I promised that I was going to not just focus on those qualities of the teacher that you should have, but also simultaneously the qualities that you should be avoiding at all cost. Not a copycat versus creator. Being a copycat might cause a lot of problems. So sometimes I've seen teachers not exerting themselves, or just they didn't want to waste their time to, let's say, create their own courseware. So what they did is they turned to others' ready-made resources, and that's how they sometimes even claimed ownership of others' resources by making superficial changes. So as you can see, being a copycat can lead to serious problems of plagiarism. So my point is, and this is one of the fundamental qualities of a modern ESL teacher, is that they have to be a creator. But how to be a creator? What do I mean by that? You should have a competitive content, the content that is up to the standard, that is state of the art, that is in line with the current times, not outdated or old-fashioned. So first and foremost, you need to have a competitive courseware. So you need to create your own courseware. How to create your courseware? So sometimes you can go beyond the textbooks, or do a little research on the internet, or exchange the know-how with your colleagues or some top professionals in this field. And then you can have all those ideas and thoughts put into your own courseware. And this is how you can create your brand new courseware. Number two is harnessing or integrating cutting edge technology into your classes. You know, I love technology. I'm a big tech guy. And I cannot imagine my classes without technology. Even now, I'm using several gadgets to deliver this seminar. And I'm also using the laser pointer in my hand to navigate my presentation. You know, I cannot imagine any of my teaching class or lesson without using the technology. So I love technology. And I think a modern ESL teacher, you know, we're talking about a modern ESL teacher. So if they think they're modern, they have to integrate technology at all costs into their classes. In order to teach a competitive lesson, a teacher needs a cutting edge technology, or at least all the basic tools. Before, I was largely reliant on standard textbooks, and I just couldn't go beyond the textbooks because we were told to stick to the books. No matter how boring the books could be, we were just, you know, commanded. We were just given an order to follow whatever there was in the black and white books. And can you believe it that it was for the very first time that I saw a smart board about 7 years ago in Poland. You know, it was quite an asset having a smart board and using the smart board in the class. A smart board is still a luxury in most parts of the world, especially in, let's say, underdeveloped parts of the world, or even in the developing countries. You would rarely see the smart board in the, let's say, public schools or in some kind of public universities or institutions. So in the backdrop, you can see a smart board. That picture was taken about 7 years ago in a city called Krakow in Poland. So that was my first interaction with the then the latest cutting edge technology, smart board. But it's no longer the latest technology. Okay, I'll be referring to the coin very often throughout my presentation. Technology is just one side of the coin, okay? So the competitiveness of the content is also related to the books and whatever they contain. So here is a very interesting question. What if the teacher doesn't have a competitive courseware? So what would be the silver bullet, or what would be the solution? So in my case, I'll make a reference to my teaching in China. If you have traveled to China, or if you were in China, you might know that in China, most of the popular social platforms like Facebook, Google, YouTube are blocked, which makes the teaching job very strenuous because those sources provide tons of interesting resources that the teacher can benefit from. You know, so imagine me teaching in China. I'm cut off from the outside resources. So what can I do, or what should I do? I started creating my own courseware from scratch, from zero. So over time, I started creating my courseware in a form of a PPT. And then I also started making my own videos and embedded those videos onto the presentation. And that's how I got a full-fledged courseware, a content for my Chinese students, which they really appreciated. You can see through the pictures that they are giving lots of thumbs up just because they enjoyed the courseware. No, this was something offered to Chinese students, which was very different from what they would normally get from their local Chinese teachers. The local Chinese teachers would stick to the books, but I was, showing them through the projector, through the PPT, and they would see different slides. They would see pictures, illustrations, images, videos. That was quite interactive and very interesting for the students. So, in other words, I was able to create my own competitive content and offer it to my Chinese students. So, I created different courses. Here are some of those front covers of the PPTs that I created. Entire writing, IELTS writing course from scratch, entire IELTS speaking course, IELTS reading, listening, and general English courses, all the way from elementary to advanced speaking course, and some other English courses that I created. All of these courses in a form of a PPT during my experience because I was forced to create my competitive content. I wasn't satisfied with the books, so I had to come up with something better. Okay, here is a very interesting comparison of a finest chef versus a good teacher. Imagine a finest chef. Can he or she cook something nice without a proper, let's say, ingredients? Well, absolutely no. The answer is no. So how can you expect a good teacher teach an excellent class without competitive content? It is impossible. So in that regard, we need to understand the teacher's problem. That this is a problem I'm talking about, not about some particular people, but this is a kind of a global problem that in most of the parts of the world, teachers are left on their own without any competitive content. So when the teacher enters the class, they have no competitive content. So that's why most of the time the students are dissatisfied. They feel like the class is boring. They are less enthusiastic, less motivated, just because the teacher is not able to offer a competitive content to the students. Okay, here's a very interesting part, a very interesting dimension to being a creator. When you create something, and then you can also recreate it. Let me give you some examples. I carried out some exciting projects in China, Uzbekistan. I'll be showing some interesting pictures in the coming slides. I conducted 3 ECAs in China, Uzbekistan, Poland. Okay, most of you might know what potluck is. It's a Western culture. So in this culture, the people would bring their own stuff into the table and collectively share. And I introduced the very culture to my Chinese students about 7 years ago. And it was a blast. Chinese students loved the project. They loved bringing their own stuff and sharing with others. That is more of a casual style festival, not really formal. This is what probably made Chinese students like this festival, like this the culture. So what I did is I learned that it worked well with Chinese students. So first I organized potluck. So I created, let's say, an event called potluck, just to introduce a basic idea of bringing their own stuff to the table and sharing and talking English. And then I recreated the same event in a form of a pizza potluck. Now, students were supposed to be bringing only pizza to the table and talk about pizza. And at the end of the year, I invited all my students for another kind of potluck. Now, this time I named it as reunion potluck. You see, I created events and projects, but then I started recreating them. I started adding some fresh flavor and insight, and this is how I got something new. Okay, creativity is teachers' most powerful weapon. I have no doubt about it. I have always believed in that mantra throughout my teaching career, and I will never ever doubt that this is true. At the start of this second trade, if you remember, I told you that I love being a creator. I'm a very creative person. So I believe a teacher, especially a modern ESL teacher, cannot be a good one without having creative skills. And of course, a creative teacher can teach the same class as long as they're imaginative in a multiple ways. And this is what I usually do. I try to teach the same class in multiple ways because at the end of the class, I take some notes and I ask myself some questions like, what if I teach the same class? How differently would I teach the same class? This is how I keep changing things, creating and then recreating. Okay, like I said earlier, I was going to show you some posters from those projects that I carried out in China. Pizza Mania. For example, take this word. It does not exist in a modern English dictionary. I created it myself. I just put two words together, pizza and mania. So somehow, you can understand that a person is crazy about either eating pizza or just like having pizza. So this is how I created a whole host of new event from scratch, just putting two words together. And that's the poster from Reunion Potluck. It was a huge success. And then there's a Summer Star. It was specifically for the summertime. So the project ran only from June to August. That was the time frame of that project. And here are some of the pictures from those events with my Chinese students. And after many years of teaching in China, I decided to come back home because home was calling. East or west, home is best. Why not? So in those pictures on the side, you can see me teaching masterclass 1 and 2 in Samarkand. And in the center, I delivered the first Sunday club. Remember earlier I referred to my initiating projects. And in that particular school, before my arrival, there was no Sunday speaking club. So I initiated that event. And as you can see, there was a huge turnout of the students in Tashkent. I never ceased my endeavors and initiatives. I went on to teach the classes in the most extraordinary places, like the one here. You can see me with the students at the museum. I taught a class at the museum. I have spoken to the tour guide of the museum. I expressed my ideas to him, and that's how together we organized an English class at the museum. And then I taught a class at the Boulevard in Tashkent, the Japanese Garden, and some other venues. Okay, so now I invite you all to watch one of my masterclass videos. And I hope you can appreciate how much I value creativity. And above all, just appreciate my creative skills through this video. So I hope you enjoy watching the video. Take a look.
Hello guys, and today I'm offering local students in Samarkand to experience a fantastic, innovative masterclass
attending an English speaking class by Mr. Firuz.
Hey guys, I've been learning English for many years, but I never felt any progress in my English. Ever since I started attending Mr. Firuz's classes, I felt more confident about my speaking and listening. What was the location of the restaurant in which they have met? Yay, that's perfect!
So we can do something bad, and the bad will come back.
One more time, I'm going to repeat the question. So, what is the best way to travel? And today, we are offering the students, the local students, the latest cutting-edge innovative teaching methodology, and that's why we are covering all the math students from across Samarkand for Masterclass 3. Thank you, Mr. Firuz. I hope we can have more classes in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Firuz. Now I love you.
All right. Now, with that, we've come to another eye task. Here's a question, and I want you to be more active in the comment section. Were you ever punished severely by your teacher? So I want you to go back to your school time or university, college. Were you ever punished severely by your teacher? If yes, then you can also elaborate on that. Thank you. Let me see your responses in the comment section. No, not really. I'm a good student. Justine says I'm a good student. Perfect. No, 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 right. That's actually very pleasing to hear that you were never ever punished by your teacher, by your teachers in the past. Okay, right. So we have straight nose. Right. Okay, not at all. Yes, when I was at elementary days. Okay. Right. No, no. No, I haven't experienced that. Perfect. Okay. No, I haven't experienced being punished. No. Perfect. Thank you. So I didn't ask the question in vain because I have the third trait of a modern ESL teacher to explain. The third quality of a modern ESL teacher is a counselor, not a corrections officer. So I want to take you back again to the old times when teachers were really tough and strict. They used to impose very harsh rules on the students, and should they break the rules, they were punished, mercilessly, without any empathy. So that was in old times when the students didn't have much free will. They were submissive and ordinary and obedient. But now, let me take you back to our times We're living in the 21st century when every student comes to your class with his or her huge individuality and sometimes even a large ego. So now you cannot use the old fashioned ways of punishment to control them, to order them follow certain rules. So you have to be a good listener. Listen to your students' problems. You have to be like a life coach. You have to make suggestions and sometimes even give a good piece of advice on how to improve or on how to become a better person. So this is how you get the third trait of a modern ESL/FL teacher. Sadly, in most of the public schools, even nowadays, it has come to my attention that students are still being punished for, for simple things, which is unacceptable and which cannot be the case in our times, because in our times, the concept, the philosophy of teaching has modernized. It has been elevated to high levels, that we are living totally different times. So we have to look at teaching from a totally different perspective. So when you combine the traits of a counselor and a teacher, you would get something called a reflective teaching. So what is a reflective teaching? Imagine just like a counselor, they would reflect on your problems while giving you suggestion. They would first listen to you, and after having listened to your problems, they would reflect on your problems and come up with some, let's say, piece of advice or suggestions on how to improve your lifestyle. So the teacher can have those double role, both as a counselor and a teacher, and have those two things combined, you would get a reflective teaching. So what do I mean by reflective teaching? You remember I told you that I love using technology. So I put it like eye monitoring, from iPhone, like internet and all that jazz. So what is an eye monitoring? Nowadays, almost everyone has a smartphone. So we are well connected, regardless of being where you are. You could be in the Philippines, in Brazil, in Norway, in Mexico, in Uzbekistan, but we are still well connected. Just like this webinar, it is being hosted in Bangladesh, but people all over the world are watching this simultaneously in real time. So we can make use of technology in order to monitor the progress of our students or even reflect on their problems. You could create a group on any social platform. We know that in different countries, people use different social platforms, and different social media are popular in different countries. For example, in my country, in Uzbekistan, we mostly use Telegram. Last month, I was teaching IELTS course in the southernmost city of Uzbekistan, where I used Telegram as a platform to reflect on my students' problems and concerns. So, in other words, I was doing eye monitoring. I was monitoring remotely while not being physically somewhere close to them. So, this is pretty comfortable. I could be in a coffee shop drinking my favorite coffee and still using my smartphone to provide some feedback or just to reflect on my students' problems. I did the same thing while I was in China, but through a different platform called WeChat, because WeChat is very common and popular in China. In other parts of the world, WhatsApp or even Facebook can be used. Nowadays, Zoom is even more popular than any other social platforms, especially for video conferencing. So one advantage of Zoom over the other all social platforms is that Zoom provides more of a human quality. Zoom adds a personal touch that you can see each other in real time interact and face to face and provide feedback and have some chit chat. So this is how the teacher, the modern ESL teacher, can step into the shoes of a counselor and the teacher itself. For international testing systems like IELTS, TOEFL, and CEFR, I used to give task-related feedback more often because for those specific tests, there are tasks, so the students need to improve on those tasks. So the feedback has to be very purpose-oriented. But for general English classes, like elementary to advanced, it can be more like a progress-related feedback. So this is how I used to reflect on my students' problems. This is American author Ken Blanchard, and he famously quoted, "Feedback is the breakfast of champions." So I totally agree. So why not feed your students with lots of feedback on how well they're doing, on their progress, or even on their life problems? You know, you could sit down with your student one-on-one and just be a friend or have a friendly conversation saying, look, what problems do you have? Are you okay? Like you look a little sick or unwell these days? Are you feeling all too well? Or do you need some medication? Do you need any help from us? You know, this conversation itself elevates the spirit of a student and makes them feel more enthusiastic about you and about your classes. With that, we've come to the fourth trait of a modern ESL teacher. You know, it took me quite a while to rephrase this trait. I thought a lot, but then finally, eventually, I came up with the following wording: enthusiast, not a yes man. Unfortunately, in my teaching career, I've seen, let's say, some teachers or even most teachers being a yes man type teacher. What do I mean by that? They are usually, let's say, under the control of their superiors, or they have to follow certain directions and instructions and commands given by their supervisors, directors, administrators, and etc. Just people on top of them. And they would have very little room to put their thinking cap and just do something on their own. So my idea, my philosophy of being a modern ESL teacher is that they have to be enthusiast. They have to do what they think is right, not what others think is right. They have to do things on their own, but not just follow some other people's directions and instructions, which are usually and sadly wrong. So if the teacher is following wrong directions, what would you expect at the end of the day? You would have students feeling demotivated about a class. You would have tons of problems cropping up along the way just because the teacher is, I'm sorry, more like a puppet in this case. So I believe a modern ESL teacher has to be enthusiast. They have to be, left on their own just to do things the way they like. They have to be given a choice. They have to be given some options, what to do and what not to do, instead of just being told what to do and what not to do. So when the teacher is enthusiast, teaching becomes a hobby. And there's a very famous quote by Mark Anthony. If you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. Right? Absolutely. And if you love it, no matter, you can be a teacher, a cab driver, or just a barista at Starbucks Coffee. It doesn't matter what you do. if you love what you do, things come easy because it's a conventional wisdom. And especially if you love teaching, it can be fun, entertainment, enjoyment, even a holiday, a getaway. Okay, now let's move on to the fifth trait of a modern ESL-FL teacher, which is a time saver, not a slacker. So remember, I always uh, try to explain through the principle of a coin, which is the coin has two sides, right? So one side is something you need to follow, and the other side is something you need to avoid. So most of the times we see, especially the language teachers, having time issues. They complain about time management. Why? Because they are not the time saver. They don't save the time throughout the class while setting some different tasks. So they are more like a slacker. They avoid doing things at appropriate time. That's how they keep wasting the time. And at the end of the class, at the end of the day, they will be forced to do certain things in a rush. And then that's how they start complaining about time management. So how to tackle this problem? I'll suggest some practical solutions from my experience. Okay, number one is proper timing for every task. Look, the teachers usually set the task, but they don't really set the proper timing. And that's why I highlighted the proper timing for the convenience, for better understanding. So when you set a task without a proper timing, you would definitely run into time management issue at the end of the task, at the end of the class. So whenever you set the task, make sure you set the proper timing simultaneously. We know that a lot of language teachers, especially, they love talking a lot. They love communicating. They love elaborating things, talking too much about the topic. But then at the end of the day, they involuntarily or unconsciously, they keep stealing or taking their students' time. And again, in this scenario, they would definitely run into time management issue at the end of the class or at the end of the task. And that's why the teachers have to minimize the instruction time so that they could be a time saver in order to do some other useful activities throughout the class or at the end of the class. They need to always allocate time for recap or feedback. Most of the teachers don't do that just because they run into time management. They have no single second left towards the end of the class, and they are not able to provide a feedback or just to recap the class, just because they have wasted a lot of time since the start of the class. They were not able to save the time. So when you save the time, when you are the time saver throughout the class, you will have automatically saved ample amount of time at the end of the class for the recap or feedback, which is very essential, by the way. Proper timing for homework, check, and revision. I want to share a very interesting experience of mine that while I was teaching a course in the southernmost city of Uzbekistan, I used to provide the homework. I used to provide the task in an online form, remotely. And I also used to check and provide feedback remotely. So at the end of the day, what do I get is I don't have to worry about spending some time of my class for homework revision when I teach the class. So my students would come to class and there is no homework revision at all. So I would have the entire class time fully under my control. This is how I can manage the time effectively. And another interesting case is especially with the language classes, the teachers would just provide a discussion task or a speaking task, and usually it is unguided. They would just leave the students on their own, and the students would talk randomly, either on the topic or just discuss things randomly. So, and this activity is usually unguided and it takes a lot of time. This is like a freer practice. This is where a lot of time is wasted and killed. And that's how the teachers would again run into time management problem. So again, the solution for this problem is this activity can be guided by the teachers, but not just leave the students on their own, and also guided in terms of time management. This is how the teacher can effectively solve time management problem, any kind of time management problem. So over time, experienced teachers will develop a built-in clock inside themselves to sense the time. But the time management is more than just feeling the time. Like to me personally, time management is about how to finish, then how to start. Because when I enter the class with an end thought, I would have no worries about everything from the start and in between. Most of the times the teachers would make an excellent start, but sometimes they have no idea or they just lack idea on how to finish. So this is how they would run into time management problem. Okay, here is another task for you. Please type in your answers in the comment section. Do you like socializing or being alone? You see, I do not ask these questions in random because they are connected to my principles of teaching English. So do you like socializing or being alone? So I see some answers keep coming in. Maulina says yes. Vita says yes. Yes. I'll try to apply, then give my feedback, but definitely I'll, yes, right. Yes, improved my skills. Great arrangement. Yes, it would improve my skills. The webinar is a great factor to improve my skills. Wow, that's great to hear. Yes, yes. Okay, both. Okay, both being alone and socializing. It's very interesting. How do you get those extreme together, which is very difficult? Okay, yes, socializing. It will be a great help in improving my skills. Of course, it helps my mind to develop. Absolutely, yes, I learn a lot. I like socializing. I'm fond of dealing with other people. And the answers keep coming. Most of the time, I prefer to be alone, says Gary. Okay, yes, sure, says Nasra. I like both socializing and being alone, says Galagar. I love to work alone, and etc. Thank you very much for being super active. Okay, with that, we've come to the penultimate trait, the sixth trait of a modern ESL teacher, which is socializer, not an academic loner. So academic loner is relatively a new term. This is actually my, let's say, term. You might not find it on popular social culture. So what do I mean by academic loner? There are two kinds of academic loners, in my understanding. So, I mean, there are excellent teachers who do not want to come out of their shell to share their know-how and experience with other, let's say, relatively inferior fellow teachers. And there are the second types of academic loners, the teachers who are actually less experienced. So they feel uncomfortable socializing with, let's say, relatively better or more experienced teachers. And that's how we get two kinds of academic loners. But on the other hand, the other side of the coin is the socializer. So again, we're living in the 21st century. We're well connected through internet. Everyone now has different kind of gadgets to communicate on a daily basis, and they spend far greater time and hours on communicating, checking out Instagram every second, or just texting to someone on Facebook, watching some videos on YouTube. You see, we use internet, we interact with internet, we communicate with each other very often these days. So we are, in other words, a big time socializer. But I want to bring that idea, that concept of socializer into the modern ELT classroom. And I want the modern ESL/FL teacher to be a socializer. Socializer, it means like the teacher is very approachable, easy to talk to among the students, as well as her or his colleagues, or just people working in the same field. You know, most of the times I have come across some great experts who are just unwilling to socialize. They feel like, you know, I know too much about my subject matter, so why do I need to spend my time in communicating or socializing with people who might know less than I do? So this is a very backward thinking. And I hope that the language teachers would be more socializer with their students and the colleagues in the future. So social get-togethers could be one way that can bridge the socio-cultural gaps, and most importantly, strengthen social bonds. Bonding socially and even culturally with your students may be a good idea to impact overall learning and teaching process. And for those of you who know about classroom management, one of the staple principles of classroom management is rapport, having a good rapport. So what is a rapport? Rapport is a good relationship between the students and the teachers. So whenever there's a good rapport in the classroom, it's definitely going to positively impact overall learning and teaching process. So rapport, in other words, means bonding socially with your students. No matter where I taught in the past in different countries, it was always at the back of my mind to socialize, to bond socially and culturally with my students. And one way to do that is organizing different events and ECAs. And in the previous slides, you've already seen the pictures of my ECAs, the projects, me bonding socially with my students. And here are some other pictures of me bonding socially at the bowling center, the Japanese garden, the newly built Tashkent City, and some other places. Okay, here is the quiz for you. I prepared a quiz. It's very easy. What is teaching for you? I'm going to show you some options like multiple choice type question. And I want you to type in the comment section just the letter itself. So if you're ready, let me show. A main source of income. B, a part-time job. C, self-development. D, a full-time job. E, a chance to meet up new people. And F, hobby. So please type in your answers. What is teaching for you? Now let me check out your answers. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of highly recommended responses. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's a great pleasure to see that you are taken away a lot from this presentation. So I got the answer. Cora says it's a self-development and a chance to meet up new people. We got full-time job, full-time job. Judith says C and E. So that's self-development and a chance to meet up new people. Janet says self-development, full-time job, sorry. And yes, we have hobby. Interesting. So someone says hobby. Okay. Self-development, C and E. Okay. Nasra says a main source of income and self-development. Full-time job as well, D. Right. May says C, E, F. Lay says almost all of it, A, C, D, E. Very interesting. Okay. Highly recommended. Thank you. Okay, Sadaf says F, hobby. Perfect. Thank you for being super active. With that, we've come to the last trait of a modern ESL, EFL teacher, which is a volunteer, not a fortune seeker. So what do I mean by that? In all those pictures, you can see me in the role of a volunteer. So I was volunteering through teaching English in Samarkand, my hometown, Nanchang, China, Tashkent, that's the capital of Uzbekistan, Krakow, that is in Poland, and Nanchang again, Samarkand, and Tajikistan with Tajik students. So I was volunteering through teaching English in different projects, either ECAs, outdoor class, master class, just an ECA, right. So not a fortune seeker. Let me elaborate on that. You know, it's not a it's not a secret. It's no wonder that we have to work and we have to make a living. So you might say, look, you cannot be a volunteer and have nothing to eat or have no shelter to sleep in. So you cannot be a volunteer all your life. So what do you mean by volunteer and not a fortune seeker? Yes, we have people who are driven to seek fortune, to make money, to do business, but sometimes they might have a little hard for contributing freely or just be a part of a volunteering project. So to me, volunteer means exposure and networking. So let me elaborate on that. I'm a vlogger, not a blogger. I'm a vlogger. It means I create videos, I make videos and upload onto my YouTube channel. And why do I need that? I mostly make teaching videos and then I upload onto YouTube for a public access so that the people, especially the rookie or inexperienced or less experienced or even experienced teachers, can watch my teaching videos and get some ideas, learn something from those videos. This is how I interact, remotely. This is one way of networking. And also I expose myself to the international ELT community. This is how I get volunteering. I even spend my own money for the making or the production of those videos, but I share it freely. This is how I become a volunteer. This is what I mean by being a volunteer. It's not just doing things for free, but it's doing things for the benefit of other people. Expose yourself to the global ELT community through online and offline events. I want to also bring up an example from IGP. There have been some wonderful ELT presenters. There were some great English teachers who made a presentation on IGP platform, and I followed their videos. This is how I expose myself to the online and offline events. And there are some other great platforms that offer this similar online events or workshops, like Array Global from USA, that I regularly attend their workshops, online workshops, or a Kagapay teacher support from the Philippines. That's also very popular. I try to regularly follow those platforms and their webinars or workshops, because I can learn a great deal by following them. This is how I can become a volunteer, either the offline way or the online way. Committing oneself in the remote corners of your country. This is also what the volunteer ESL teacher can do. So imagine if you come from a relatively well-off background, if you live in the capital city or in a more centralized part of your country, would you be willing to get out of your comfort zone and travel to the remote parts of your country where the life pace is very slow or sluggish? So the pace of development is way below than where you come from. Would you be willing to go there and share your know-how experience or do something charitable? So this is a kind of a question to all those people watching me today. So probably this is one of the takeaways that you can take after the webinar, that you can ask yourself, did I do any charitable act? Did I ever become a volunteer? Did I voluntarily share or did something for the greater benefit of the public? So this is how you get the volunteer. And now I'd like to invite you to watch the final video of mine, where I traveled to the southernmost city of Uzbekistan, where I held a charitable speaking club, something that the students never had at that particular school, and something for which I didn't get a monetary incentive. Again, I did not need any monetary incentive, just because I was doing it as a volunteer. And this is what I'm going to show you. I hope you enjoy watching the video.
Do you want to speak English? Do you want to socialize? Do you want to have a great Sunday with new people, having pizza and drinks? We welcome you to Speaking Club on Sunday. See
We are already here.
and hold it out like these. While skydiving, you cannot keep it here while you get pockets. You have to always fail first step, okay? So you go to your friends, and then you say, okay, I want to go skydiving. I can do that. And then the coach says,
Flying weight, parachute shooting, skating, skiing, motor racing, jet skating, kayak.
please. And this particular picture was taken in a car. Perfect. Plane, yes, right, plane. But in your small groups, try to speak a little louder.
Finished the speaking club, and what about my thoughts and expressions about this speaking club? It was so amazing, and thanks to Mr. Teresa Farah for this kind of event. And if you want to join this kind of events,
come to King's Learning Center.
Everyone, from my facial appearance, you can see the impression about the speaking club. It is really great, friendly, and you can also have a sense of English atmosphere.
This speaking club was so fascinating, and I would highly recommend to anyone who's going to embrace the real English atmosphere.
The first speaking club at King's Learning Center was a huge success. There was lots of excitement, joy, laughter, communication, socializing, networking, above all, friendship. We hope to see you in the future events. Until then, take care.
All right. Did you enjoy watching the videos? Like all those videos I shared today. There was a promo video, then a master class, then a speaking club. So I like to check out your comments. Yeah, how did you like the videos? Okay. Yeah, I see some very interesting responses keep coming. 5 out of 5, 5, 5. So lovely. Wow, thank you very much. I just tried to do my best. Every time I do something, it doesn't matter, it can be free, but I always give my all. I give my heart just because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to contribute to the greater good of the society, to the public. Because this is in my nature. This is in my veins, in my DNA, to be a charitable person, to be a volunteer, to just be an initiator. All those qualities that I counted throughout the presentation. Okay, thank you very much. I see lots of positive responses in the comment section. So back to the presentation. I have just a couple of slides left. Exposure and now working. I was talking about volunteering. So how did I benefit from exposure and now working? It helped me to understand the individuality of every student better, both culturally and linguistically. This is something I learned by just being a volunteer. I was able to build up my confidence in my English skills as an international teacher. I come from Uzbekistan. This is, geographically a non-English speaking area. We are very far from any English speaking country. Let's say England is so far away, or some Asian countries that speak English very pervasively. They're even far from us. Geographically speaking. So I come from a country which is vastly non-English speaking. And then I became an international English teacher just because I exposed myself a lot to the international community through networking, through volunteering, just being a part of great projects like IGP, one of the best examples. And I also started sharing and enriching my teaching experiences with fellow foreign teachers and also teachers from my own country. Okay, here is the one last time. We're going to have the recap of our today's presentation in one last slide. So traits of a modern ESL/FL teacher. Before that, I want to go back to the start of the presentation and show you my coin and remind you the principle that I mentioned. The coin has two sides. So I wanted to explain the entire presentation through a simple yet popular principle, which is the coin has two sides. And I'm going to show you those traits of a modern ESL/FL teacher, the ones which you should have, or the ones that you should aim to have, and the ones you should avoid at all cost. So number one is initiator, not an instructor. Creator, not a copycat. Counselor, not a corrections officer. Enthusiast, not a yes man. Time saver, not a slacker. Socializer, not an academic loner. And the last one is volunteer, not a fortune seeker. Okay, you get the one last look of today's main ideas of the presentation, the traits of a modern ESL FL teacher. And now please share your key takeaways from the webinar in the comments. What did you learn from today's presentation? I really want to check out your responses this time. So feel free to write your answers. What did you learn? What was your key takeaway from the webinar? Jenna says, I salute your presentation, sir. The explanation is substantive and informative. And 3 hearts. Thank you very much. Very beneficial bunch of masterclass. Izzatoy Samarova from Uzbekistan. Thank you. And fully satisfied, very satisfied. So please share your key takeaway from the webinar in the comments. What did you learn? Super satisfied, very satisfied, very satisfied. Thank you, very satisfied. Volunteer, right, being a volunteer, says Nasra. Very much satisfied, very much satisfied. Okay, thank you very much. Here is the very last slide of my presentation. If you want to further communicate or collaborate with me, feel free to approach me through LinkedIn or Facebook. This is for collaboration and communication. I'm open for international webinars, seminars, any projects. If any university wants to closely collaborate with me, feel free to approach me through LinkedIn or Facebook directly. And also feel free to follow me on YouTube, as I have my YouTube channel with some nice teaching videos, and also Instagram. So these are my contacts for communication and collaboration. And on a final note, I'd like to thank IGP for providing an excellent opportunity to be a presenter on such a global, massive, prestigious platform. And I really hope that I will get a second chance to be a presenter again. So thank you very much from Uzbekistan, and I'll hand over to the organizers.
Wow, sir. Thank you so much for that informative, clear, and relevant topic that you have shared us tonight, sir. Very useful and very interactive. I like your videos, I like your examples. So I think all of the participants enjoyed your presentation, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to recall
My
again
pleasure.
the 7 traits of modern ESL and EFL teacher. So we have the initiator, set an example, right?
Yeah.
Versus an not an instructor. Second, be creator, not a copycat. I like the term copycat, sir. Not a copycat. Great passion for contribution. Wow. And creates a lot because when you are doing like you have just copied the work of the other, you are creating a huge problem, right?
Yes.
Just like what
Exactly.
you have mentioned.
Exactly.
Another, competitive content, right? So as a ESL, EFL teacher, they should have the competitive content, competitive courseware, cutting edge technology, the integration of technology. I like that, sir. And the third, counselor, not a corrections officer. Wow. So reflective teaching. So we have to, like what you have mentioned, eye monitoring. We have a lot of gadgets. So what I mean, in nowadays, we can say that everyone has a gadget, so we have to monitor the performance of the students, right? Just like what you
Right.
have mentioned, we have the application Telegram in Uzbekistan, WeChat in China, so, and also the Facebook, the famous one, Facebook. And the fourth one, enthusiast, not a yes man. We have to follow the right one, not the wrong one,
Yes.
right, sir?
Exactly.
And then the fifth, time saver, not a slacker, for
Yes.
proper timing for every task. Wow, that's a very nice example, sir. And the sixth one, socializer, not an academic learner. Yes, because we have to cooperate, right? We
Exactly.
have to learn how to cooperate with others.
Absolutely.
So, and the seventh, or six rather, or seven, volunteer, not a fortune seeker. Just imagine I have noted his.
Wonderful.
I
Yes.
learned a lot from your presentation, sir. So, please, participants, let us thank Sir Feruz Akbarov for his remarkable presentations
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you very
Well
much.
prepared, sir. Well prepared. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. And then be ready. We will proceed to the Q&A portion. Oh, well, quiz competition rather. Okay, so time for quiz competition. Our code for tonight is IGP01. Okay, please search www.slido.com and the code is IGP01. So right now we have 100 participants. Wow. Okay, 114. Please use your complete name. Code IGP01. Wow. 157 and counting. Okay.
I'm audible.
Now
Hello.
we have
Hello, ma'am.
180 participants. Yes, sir.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Loud
Okay.
and clear, sir.
In between joining in the quiz competition, I want to ask a simple question to our respected speaker for today, Sir Feroz Akbarov. If you, I saw that in the comment section, lots of your fans arise for today. So, if you
Yes.
allow, if you allow me, then can I schedule a program with four speaker for from four countries in a same platform? One from Indonesia, one from India, another one from Philippines, and the fourth one is you. Is it possible?
Absolutely possible. Like I
Okay.
said,
Oh,
I'm always
Because
open
actually,
for
because actually I
international.
because actually I already promised to our participants without asking you, because I have my own belief. So that is the reason I already make promise to our lovely participants that
Great.
uh,
I love that idea.
I will I will
very
invite you, and
important.
definitely I will make sure a plan with four or five speaker in the same platform with the same program.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, ma'am. You may continue with your quiz competition.
Okay, so we have 183 participants for quiz competition. Oh, 246 and counting. Wow. According to Mom Life, thank you, sir, for the very interesting topic, and thank you for the information you have shared to us. This means a lot to us. Wow. Very satisfied. And they said they learned a lot from tonight's webinar. Extremely satisfied. I am delighted by Mom Rochelle. Wow. 100% satisfied, according to Mom, says Mom Rina Angada Pandak. Mom May de la Fuente, she says, very satisfied with this speaker today. Wow, thank you so much for the wonderful comments. Amazing webinar, honestly. Thank you so much, Ma'am Amani. Absolutely satisfied. Wow. Okay. Question number one. In dogma ELT teachers, A. Teach in a linear way. B. Teach preemptively. C. Don't use the L1. Or D. Teach in unresponsively. So, what is your choice in question number one? So, the correct answer is letter D. And 70% of the participants got the correct answer. Congratulations. And our top one is Romel. So, question number two. Can you find one of CTL approaches in ELT? A. Learning cooperatively. B. Formal and fun settings. C. Teacher stands still in classroom. Okay. So the correct answer for question number two rather, is letter A, which is learning cooperatively. And congratulations to 70% of the participants who got the correct answer. So question number three, what does TTT stand for in ELT? A. Teach, test, teach. B. Test, teach, test. C. Try, teach, test. Or D. Teach, try, test. So what is your answer in question number three? Wow. Okay, so the correct answer is letter B, which is test, teach, test. And only 13% of the participants got the correct answer. Wow. Okay, question number 4. Speaking and writing about subject content and classroom interaction are all part of blank. A. Content. B. Communication. C. Culture. Or D. Cognition. Okay. The correct answer for question number 4 is B, which is communication. And 82% of the participants got the correct answer. Wow. What, top one, Mark Jerome. Okay, question number 5. A classroom exercise with an objective attainable only by the interaction among participants. A, drilling. B, recast. C, information gap. Or D, task. Okay, so the correct answer for question number 5 is letter D, and only 46% of the participants got the correct answer. Mhm. Let's move on. Question number 6. When L1 influences the learning of ELT, it is called blank. A. Interruption. B. Interference. Or C. Fossilization. So what is your answer for question number 6? Okay. So the correct answer is letter B, which is interference. And wow, congratulations for the 84 participants got the correct answer. Question number 7. One of the following is not. Okay, please again, sir. Um, One of the following is not a reason for using songs in the ELT classroom. A. A. They are motivating and enjoyable. B. They provide authentic and varied language. C. They give a visual context. Or D. They allow students to create. Okay, so the correct answer for question number 7 is letter D, which is they allow students to create. Oh, and only 17% of the participants got the correct answer. And then let us see who is the rank one. Okay, question number 7. PPP has been criticized by some ELT experts because it does not provide lifelike communicative practice. True or false? Okay, so the correct answer is true, which true. And 55% of the participants got the correct answer. Okay, Mark Jerome, still the rank 1. Question number 9. Which trend in ELT made its presence in Malaysia in the early 1980s? A. E-learning. B. Early start in teaching English. C. Strategic teaching and learning. Or D. Language laboratories. Okay, so the correct answer for question number 9 is letter D, language laboratories. Okay, only 11% got the correct answer. Okay, and last question. Choose the two main elements of language development in formal classroom. A. Phonology and pragmatics. B. Morphology and syntax. C. Teacher and learner. Or D. Semantic and pronunciation. Okay. So the correct answer is teacher and learner, and only 46% of the participants got the correct answer. Wow, still the rank one. Sir Mark Jerome, top one, 9 over 10, followed by Neri Longos, 8 over 10, and third Juby, 8 over 10, the same with Romel. So please, Sir Juby, give your complete name for the certificate. Congratulations to the top 10 winners tonight. Wow. Mark Jerome has only one mistake. Mhm. Congratulations. And after this, be ready for Q&A portion. Okay, so please ready your question and type it in our chat box for Q&A portion. Okay, so sir, are you ready for
Sure.
Q&A?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know. 100% ready. Okay, please participants, write your question in the comment box and Sir Feroz is happy to answer your questions.
Yes.
Okay. Participants, please write your question in the comment box or comment section. Well, we have now question coming from from coming from Mom Aigul. Question: what strategies would be effective to handle mixed ability students in learning English as a foreign language? So,
I think the question was addressed to my partner who was absent today.
what's that? Yes, I think, Mom, sorry, but she's absent today. So, sir, can you answer it on
Okay, the
behalf
question
of
is what strategies would be effective to handle mixed ability students in learning English as a foreign language? The question comes from Aigul Aga Balaiva.
Mm,
Okay, when we talk about mixed ability students learning English or any other foreign language, the strategy to handle them at once may not be so ready-made. Like there's no
mm,
clear-cut recipe to um, to answer that question. Like I don't think any top language expert would just point at saying, look, you can follow these steps to handle the mixed ability students in learning the foreign language. So my personal opinion is if there is a very quite uh, diverse range of students in a class with having some really top students versus bottom feeders, and then it would be very difficult to mingle them. And especially, remember, I talked about reflective teaching when the teacher provides some eye monitoring or provides any kind of task related or progress related feedback. It would be very challenging for the teacher to provide a feedback of any kind when you have quite a diverse group of students sitting in the class. So my take is the class has to be normalized in terms of the skills and the talents. That the class would be more smooth and it would be less challenging for the teacher to teach. If you have all different kind of students sitting in one class and you expect the teacher to bring all of them up onto the same page, it would be a mountain to climb for any kind of teacher. So this is my take to these questions.
Yes, especially the students, they have the different abilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Okay, so we have a question from Tess. Which one is best to use when teaching English, American or British accent? Oh,
okay, this is a very interesting question.
very interesting.
I don't know about the whereabouts of this questioner, but I thank her for the interesting question. Look, this is my answer. While I was a student at a public school back in my school days, I used to have an English teacher who was educated in England. So he would imitate so-called British accent. And we as students, it was our first interaction with English. So this is how we thought of English, like English has to be spoken this way. We didn't have any idea about the accent, like American or British, Australian, Canadian. So we just took it as it was from the mouth of our teacher. But later on, as I grew up, as I leveled up through the schools and institutions, and I became an English teacher myself, I preferred more of a North American accent, specifically American and Canadian, because while I was working in China, my colleagues were mostly North Americans, Americans and Canadians. And to me, those accents are more popular, more mild and softer, and easier to comprehend. I also had colleagues from Australia and from New Zealand, and their accent, especially the Australian accent, was very tough to grasp. So I don't think it would be a good idea to teach or to speak in any kind of accent like Australian or Kiwi accent to the English learners, because you would just make them very stressed out, because it would be very tough for them to understand those complicated accents. So to me, even British accents sometimes sounds a little bit challenging. So I feel like American accent, like especially Canadian American accents, are way too easy to comprehend. And by the way, they are quite popular around the world. And most of the broadcasting stations, they prefer using American accent, or even they use the American English itself, which is way more popular than the British accent or the British English. And it's also because of America's political, financial, technological, and some other influence across the board, that the language itself also been affected largely, that it became more popular than any other types of accents or variants of English. Thank you very much for the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful answer, sir. Clear. Thank you. Another question from Sir Denmark Santiago. How can we manage to communicate with a multilingual community?
Oh,
So,
I would
another
like,
interesting
yeah,
question.
thank you very much for the question. I'd like to get a little clarification, if I may, like to communicate with a multilingual community, like any other languages except English, or English is involved in that multilingual community. So, for example, if you live in a place like New York, you would have a melting pot of different languages spoken all around you. You would be just walking somewhere in New York, and you would have people speaking in all kinds of languages in the world: Spanish, Arabic, Tagalog, Indonesian, Russian, Chinese, Japanese. So that's a multilingual community. And also, you would hear people speaking English. So, how
Yes.
can we manage to communicate with a multilingual community or a society? For example, the place where I come from, my hometown is Samarkand, it's trilingual society. So, the three top languages, the dominant languages spoken here are Uzbek, which is the state language, followed by Russian and Tajik. So, anyone who is from the city center or downtown Samarkand would be most likely trilingual by birth because they're surrounded by a community that speaks three languages on a daily basis.
I
And
see.
if you go to, let's say, any city in India, like I lived in India for about 2 years, I did my master's there, and I remember every state has three languages. The state language, which is Hindi, then followed by English, and also the provincial, the state language. So, for
Mm.
example, I was in Maharashtra state, so they speak Marathi. They speak Marathi, Hindi, English. So every state has three languages officially. So what we can do by exposing ourselves into a multilingual
Multilingual.
community is that we can just try to assimilate ourselves into that society if we're going to settle down. But if we're not just going to settle down and just we're there on a short temporary business trip or just a holiday or vacation, then of course we don't need to pick up those languages spoken in that multilingual community. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, very well answered, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, another question, sir, from Sadia Aizas. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. To what extent do you think curriculum restrict EFL?
So thank you for the question. To what extent do I think curriculum restrict EFL? Is it like EFL teaching? I take it as an EFL teaching,
Okay.
English as a foreign language teaching. Okay. If you remember, I mentioned the fourth trait, which was enthusiast, not a yes man. And I also pointed at the fact that most of the time the teachers are not given enough space or freedom or much of a free will to do things on their own. And they have to just follow the curriculum or the syllabus set by their superiors. So I feel that the curriculum has to be competitive, just like I was talking about competitive content. If it is competitive, then it's not going to restrict or mess up or interrupt the progress of EFL teaching and learning. But if it has to be improved and developed and
Yeah.
innovated, then of course it might cause some problems. So it depends on what kind of curriculum we're talking. Is it old fashioned, archaic? It's a curriculum which was like created about 50 years ago. There are schools nowadays which are still clinging on to those old types of curriculums. And of course, a lot of improvement has to be made in those curriculums. Thank you.
Yes, because we have to revise the curriculum.
Exactly.
Right?
It has to
Yes.
be
So
constantly revised to keep up
yes,
with the current times.
yes, exactly, sir. Thank you so much for that very clear answer, sir. So another question from Ma'am Sharon Rose. Sir Feruz, good evening. Can we still become certified initiator if we do it in our own country and not necessarily going out?
Yes,
Thank you.
pretty much. Like if you remember in the last video, I showed me having a free, let's say, English club, a Sunday club, in the southernmost part of my country, which is lesser developed. Actually, probably I was the first English, let's say, expert from my country who traveled there with a free seminar, both for the teachers and learners, and then organized a free, let's say, charitable English Sunday club. And this is a very good example that you could be an initiator, not just internationally. No, you don't have to really travel outside the premises of your country, but you can be an initiator within your country, domestically, locally. You don't have to even travel outside the state where you are or the region. You can be just, in your local village, in your local community. You can be an initiator. All you need, like if you remember, I showed a 10-second video of Malala Yousafzai, and she was referring to very simple, basic ideas of changing the world with a single pen, with a single book, single student, and single teacher. Very basic things that can change or that can bring about a tremendous amount of change. So this is my answer. Thank you.
Wow, very nice. Very clear, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, so you don't need to go internationally. You can do it. Actually, you can do it when you are teaching. You can apply your how to be a good creator, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, sir, another question from Mom de la Fuente Alpapara. Okay. Why are ELT, TOEFL, or TESL exams perceived to be more important than a completed bachelor course in language?
If you allow me, before answering the question, I would just comment and applaud the person who asked this such a wonderful question, because it's a very critical question. I would love to probably make a presentation based on this single question, because it has been at the back of my mind, and it's such a huge delight to see these as one of those questions on the screen. So why are the IELTS, TOEFL, or TESOL exams are perceived to be more important than a completed bachelor course in language? This is actually one of the problem that is also going on in my country, that if you want to be a language teacher, you go to a language center, a language school, a private language school, or any public institution, they would ask you the IELTS score, the IELTS test result.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you come from a teaching background, if you have any teaching, let's say, qualifications like bachelor's, master's in English field, specifically in linguistics, not in engineering or finance or MBA or BBA or a computer technology. Nowadays, we have very interesting English teachers who come from all kinds of backgrounds, and they still claim to be an English teacher just because they have taken those tests like IELTS, TOEFL, or TESOL, or even the teacher qualification certificates like TESOL, or TESOL, TEFL.
Yes, EFL.
Yes. So this is a phenomenon that I'm totally against. And it is true that we should cherish and value the completed degree more than
Yes.
those tests. But
Yes.
sadly, like again, the other side of the coin is that I often refer to the coin because it's very easy to explain
Side and
things.
back.
So the other side
Okay.
of the coin is that nowadays we have the graduates from those language universities who cannot
Mm.
speak English. They have the
Yes.
bachelor's degree in English who cannot speak English properly, who is unable to express their ideas in English fluently. And they have the degree as an English teacher. So they have to go to the school and start teaching English, but they can't speak English. So that's where the gap is. And that's why the international English language testing systems like IELTS or TOEFL or TESOL have really incentivized. They took an advantage of that gap, that they started building more importance in the absence of those, let's say, new graduates who are devoid of linguistic competence. They can't speak English, so you will not get a job. Those who take IELTS with a relatively higher score, they can get the job just because
Yes.
they can speak English well. Maybe they can teach well. We're talking about two different phenomena. Speaking
Yes.
English fluently is not the same as teaching English well. Today,
Mm.
I talked about the traits of a modern ESL EFL teacher, which means something the teacher should have. But those people who took the IELTS, TOEFL, and other tests with a relatively high score, maybe they don't have those teacher traits that I talked
Mm.
about today. So, in a nutshell, I want to summarize my answer is that I'm against this phenomenon of language tests being given more importance than the
Yes.
completed degree courses like bachelor's and master's. But simultaneously, I urge those language graduates to master the language fluently because
Mm.
they're going to be English teacher after all. They're not going to be cook or driver or a nurse. They're going to be a language teacher. So they have to speak English well. But at the same time, they have to have bachelor's, master's, or even higher academic degrees. Thank you.
Yes, very, very well said, sir. Just like additional, sir, because before I also work in president's office, and then many applicants applied. So they just only just like what you have mentioned, the EFL certificate, TOEFL. So they don't have the degree. So we did not hire them. Of course, we have to look on their bachelor or master or their doctorate degree, not only in the certificates like the EFL certificates and
Right.
so on. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so now from I don't know if she or he to Sir Ferus, what do you think are the top three best strategies in online teaching? So now, sir, we are in strategies.
Okay. So
Thank you so much.
this is about our current times when pandemic hit the world really badly that we had to turn to online teaching for a greater part of 2020, and even now it's continuing even in 2021. In some parts of the world, pandemic is getting out of control. So
Yes.
in these unsettling times, my three best strategies in terms of online teaching would be the first one. I encourage those teachers who are teaching in an online mode to create presentations like PPTs.
Create a presentation.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it is impossible to teach an online class without a
Without
PPT.
presentation.
You may walk into an ordinary classroom with the book or some pictures, and you would still have the whiteboard
Mm.
to write something on. But in an online format, you would not have all those, let's say, luxuries.
Yes.
So you have to turn into the PPT. The PPT can save you a great deal of trouble. So
Yes.
this is what I suggest and recommend. Number one. Number two, you know, most of the teachers were not quite familiar with online teaching, and suddenly, because of pandemic, they had to turn into online teaching, and
Yeah.
they felt that there was, a big challenge in terms of classroom management. No, the students are sitting far from you. Maybe they are sitting in their shorts, in their bed, in their kitchen, in everywhere. So it's really hard to, pull your
To
hand
know.
and just, control them, because it's not the same classroom where you would approach the student and say, look, you're misbehaving. You
Mm.
shouldn't be doing this, but you can't really control. This is something of a big challenge. So
Yes.
my second strategy would be you should uh, develop a kind of a class code for online lessons
Ah,
for
that's
better
cool.
classroom management. So you would
Mm.
even might set a dress code. Most of the times, even for the international webinars or some online
Mm.
classes, our top would be formal, the bottom would be informal. So this is a common case. So at least you could set a class code for the students to have a better class management, because class management is always on top of the list in terms of teaching a class.
Yes.
If there is no class management, you cannot have a great class. And last, the third strategy for having better online teaching is to engage the students with more face-to-face activities. Like,
Mm.
uh, you know, students, they they long for face-to-face interaction. They had to stay at home because of social distancing. They were not able to interact or come close to each other. So remember, I mentioned about Zoom, and most of the classes, online classes, are taught through Zoom. And Zoom provides more of a human quality with a real-time interaction. So my third suggestion for the strategy is to have more face-to-face engaging activities, so that the students would feel that they're still part of the same physical class, not an online class.
Yes, sir. But okay, sir, I agree with you. But sir, for the number three strategy, this is applicable if the students have access on internet. So how about sir if they don't have the access on the internet?
Exactly. If they don't have an internet, then that's the catastrophe. We're talking
Yes.
about the rural areas, the undeveloped
Mm.
places, most of the
Mm.
places, the schools in Africa that
Yeah.
do not have any basic teaching tools. So
Mm. They
that's
use
actually
mod.
part of my thesis that I was
Mm.
working on currently. I was exactly touched upon those problems to make the education more accessible in the
Mm.
COVID climate, and even post COVID-19 climate, to make the education more blended, because there are
Mm.
still challenges and problems lie within the field of ELT, that the
Mm.
blended teaching has not been fully developed, and it's not been fully integrated into even the urban society. We're just talking about urban society, but how about the rural areas? They don't have
Mm.
internet, they don't have
Yes, exactly, sir.
technology at hand. So that is a challenge and a task for the future
Yes.
that is before us, that we have to make sure that education is going to be fully accessible and affordable, even in the remote parts of the country. Like I
Yes. To
said,
make the
like I
quality of
said, I
education.
traveled to the southernmost part of my country to
Mm.
deliver a face-to-face seminar and speaking club.
Mm. Mm.
This is what the teachers can do in the absence of internet. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for the
You're welcome.
wonderful answers, sir. Thanks a lot. We've really learned today, sir.
My
Okay.
pleasure.
So I think, sir, we covered all the questions. I don't. I think.
Yes.
So, okay, so dear participants, thank you so much for your active participation in tonight's webinar. So, announcement. For better services from IGP, we will publish our Android application apps within few days. You can do everything from that application also. Wow. Okay. We don't invest single penny for promoting IGP, so please maintain distance from us while you want to promote your business. Okay, that's a clear announcement, sir. Okay, again, we don't invest single penny for promoting IGP. So please maintain distance from us while you want to promote your business. Okay, we don't have any separate platform like Facebook, YouTube. So all the case we are dependent with this media. That's why we have some restrictions also. Okay. If everything will be okay, we will arrange a free international webinar daily. Start from 15th August. Wow. Okay, so take note. If everything will be okay, then we will arrange a free international webinar daily. Okay, take note. Daily. Starting on 15 August 2021. Okay, so daily. Take note, daily starting on August 15, 2021. Okay, certification process. So, step by step. Okay, so we are now in the certification process. So, today's program name, Modern ELT Classroom. Step 1. Okay, you have to find the title of tonight's webinar, which is Modern ELT Classroom. Certification link, https eduigp.com, courses Modern ELT Classroom. Certification link now available in comment box and pinned comment. Certification link will be available always in this program post, Facebook page, Facebook group, and YouTube description. Step 2. Okay, so please browse eduigp.com. Certification process. You can claim your certificate in two ways. So we have two ways in claiming your e-certificate. One way is direct link from comment box, pin comment, post description. Or if you are not able to click this link, please directly browse www.eduigp.com for all information together. Find today's program, then the process are the same. Okay, that is step 3. Okay, so this one, browse www.eduigp.com or given link, you will redirect in this page of our websites. Please click enroll now. And the title of tonight's webinar, modern ELT classroom. And the in the right box, if you are new, create your account. If you have an account, then log in directly. Okay. After that, find the seminar title and get enrolled. Okay, so I think everything is clear. If you are new, please create your account as you can see in the right box, the right corner rather. Mm. Instructions, certificate code required. So our code for tonight's webinar is IGP 525. I repeat, the code for tonight's webinar is IGP 525. Okay, without code, no one is eligible for certificate. So please remember our code for tonight's webinar, IGP 525. And remember, without code, no one is eligible for certificate. So announcement, note please, quiz code and certificate code not the same. Okay, you have to remember that our dear participants, the quiz code and certification code are not the same. Okay, quiz code is different and certificate code is also different. Okay, so now with code, click get your certificate. So when you enter code 525, then get your certificate. Okay, so and then you can download it. I think everything is clear. Again, our code for tonight's webinar is IGP 525. Our free international webinar certificate is auto-downloadable in PDF file. So check your device file manager. Sometimes it looks uncompleted, which is for your mobile screen size. Yes. In PDF file, everything is okay. If nothing found in your file manager, please check your browser setting or update your browser or try with another browser or try it from a laptop or desktop. Okay. So this is an example of your certificate of participation. As you can see on your screen, this is the step 6. Your certificate is ready. And step 7, verified your certificate. Certificate verification, you can visit the link as you can see on your screen. Okay. You can join our all live programs from Facebook page, Facebook group, YouTube channel, and website. Okay. Again, you can join our. Okay. So, dear participants, if any problem raised to claim your e-certificate or any other issues, please don't be hesitant to contact us. If now our website isn't working well, don't be panic. It's issue of traffic cause of max user. You can claim your certificates tomorrow also. Okay, don't be panic. Our core team members are always ready in comment section to support you to find solutions Ma'am Janet S. Cablao and Kelvin Linatox. Ma'am and Sir, thank you so much for your untiring support. So if you have any problem, please you can ask Ma'am Janet S. Cablao and Sir Kelvin Linatok. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Okay, our next webinar that will be on July 20, 2021, titled Global Impact of Tourism with two competent speakers all the way from the Philippines, Ma'am Concepcion R. Mendoza and Ma'am Marie Teresa N. Bernabe. So please, our lovely participants, don't miss this wonderful webinar on July 20. Okay. Upcoming webinar July 22, 2021, title Educators Leadership Skills with two speakers. Again, from the Philippines, Sir Victorio Crescentilio Juan and Sir John Wesley P. Valdez. So please don't miss this relevant topic on July 22. Title, Educators' Leadership Skills. July 24, 2021, topic, Scientific Research, Writing, and Reviewing. Wow! With two competent speakers, again from the Philippines, Sir Felix E. Arcilia Jr., LPT, and Sir Rex A. Lim, PhD. So please don't forget to join this webinar on July 24. Okay. Another. Okay. July 26, topic, Magic of Logic. Again, with two speakers rather from the Philippines, Dr. Cesar R. Cairo and Sir Paul Gary P. Abelio. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And July 28, 2021, topic, Special Topics in General Mathematics. Wow! With two speakers all the way from the Philippines, Ma'am Karen Dajay. Okay, so July 30, topic, Global Hospitality Planning with Modern Travelers, with two competent speakers from the Philippines and also from Bangladesh, Philippines, Sir Juan Martin. Okay, so August 1, 2021, topic, Empowerment Through Education, with three speakers, Dr. Lulwa Al-Mutlak, Ambassador Dana Joselum, and Ambassador Esther Okoro. Please, participants, don't miss this wonderful webinar on August 1, 2021. August 3, topic, Setting Career Goals, with three speakers, Dr. Preti Kakro, Dr. Esha Manshing, and Piuta Abadili. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Okay, so please don't forget this relevant webinar. Okay, August 5, 2021, topic, Self-determination leads to success. Wow, interesting. Speakers from Morocco, United Kingdom, and United States. Morocco, Dr. Hasna. Okay, so August 7, 2021, topic Transgending Optimism and Research-Based Practices in Education with three speakers all the way from the Philippines. Mr. Alberto M. Dison and another two competent speakers. Okay, August 9, 2021, topic Transforming the Future Through Education with three speakers. Ma'am Lu Ann Doggen, Ambassador Raha Nagara Chamtori, and Dr. Shauli Mukherjee. Okay, so that will be on August 9. August 11, developing resilience. Wow. Three speakers, Dr. Randy Ward, Mom Beatrice Yesuhu, and Mom Rashmi Saha. Wow. And August 13, 2021, topic Leading Change Through Uncertainty with three speakers, Ma'am Laura Lee Canale Arcles, Ambassador, okay, from the Philippines, Ambassador Mehrin Mia Kasingji from South Africa, and we have Dr. Tanla Simpsons from the United States. Okay, so please don't miss this wonderful webinar on August 13, 2021. Wow. August 15, topic Transformational Leadership. And we have three speakers from United States, United Kingdom, and South Africa. United States Ambassador. Okay. So August 17, topic Leading for Success with three speakers from South Africa, United Kingdom, and Ecuador. Wow. So please don't miss this webinar. August 19, topic Community Engagement and Empowerment. And our speakers are from Vietnam, India, and of course, Nigeria. Wow, interesting topic. And August 21, topic Achieving Success Through Innovation. We have speakers from United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and Croatia. Wow, very interesting topic. And August 23, 2021, topic Leadership in Education. So we have speakers from South Africa, Switzerland, and also again from Croatia. Okay. And August 25, topic Social Emotional Teaching and Learning Management. Speakers from Greece, India, and Georgia. Wow. August 27, topic Striving for Success. So in this webinar, we have four speakers. Dr. Ella Ford, how can I pronounce her name? Okay, Metwa from South Africa, and we also have from India, Nigeria, and Singapore. Okay, so please don't miss this relevant topic. And another four speakers on August 29, 2021, topic Principles of Leading Change. We have speakers from South Africa, United Kingdom, South Africa. Okay, we have speakers from South Africa and United Kingdom. Okay. And August 31, topic Young Leaders Changing the World. Wow! So we have a four speakers from South Africa, United Kingdom, and also from Vietnam. Wow. Okay, upcoming webinar September 1, 2021, coming soon. So our participants, thank you so much for your untiring support in IGP. Okay, September 5, 2021, topic Technology of the Future in Education, Advantages and Challenges. We have speakers from Croatia, India, okay, only on September 5, 2021. And September 7, topic ICT uses in everywhere. Wow! With three speakers all the way from India. And September 9, 21st Skills in Education and Integration of Technology. So we have speakers from Albania. Wow! Please don't miss this wonderful webinar. And September 7, and our number of webinar is 158. Topic Supporting Learning through Interactive Learning Tools. So we have speakers all the way from the Philippines. Okay, so thank you so much for your active participation tonight. I hope you've learned a lot from tonight's webinar. So this is an example of global certificate or professional member, as you can see on your screen. So that is an example of global certificate, and this one is certificate of membership. Okay. And lifetime certificate. Wow. This is an example of lifetime certificate. And thank you so much, sir. So this is the example of um, when you host certificate. Okay. So thank you, sir. So okay, a lifetime certificate. And this is an example of lifetime certificate or sorry, speakership certificate. This is an example of speakership certificate. And speaker's profile. Wow. This is an example of speaker's profile certificate. Okay, please join our team. You will learn more. And we hope you will see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to share this wonderful webinar in your community so we learn together. Global volunteer. Post customer service. We are looking some dedicated. Oh, okay. Global volunteer. We are looking some dedicated volunteers for post customer service representative and post video creator. So if you are interested, please join our global volunteer. Wow. Thank you so much, Team IGP. Hope to see you in our next webinar. Thank you so much. Okay, again, if everything will be okay, then we will arrange a free international webinar daily. Okay, take note daily, starting on August 15, 2021. And I hope everything will be okay so that we can arrange a free international webinar daily. Good, happy announcement. Wow. So thank you so much. Bye bye. Good night.